Hey, it's Jay, and welcome to Chapter 6 of the Star Wars Chronicle. This time we're going to be looking at the Clone Wars Season 1, Episode 1, Ambush, and Season 1, Episode 2, Rising Malevolence. So from here on out, it's kind of going to be in a more straightforward order with the seasons going in order of the episodes, with a couple oddballs here and there, but it should be a lot more straightforward to figure out. So without further ado, let's take a look at Ambush. So this episode takes place right after Supply Lines, where Yoda is sent out to the planet of Rugosa to talk to King Katunko about possibly placing a Galactic Republic headquarters on the planet Tordaria, because remember, Katunko was like, I'll consider an alliance with the Republic. As Katunko arrives to, wait for Yoda to have this meeting, Asajj Ventress comes and sends a message from Count Dooku, a hologram message from Count Dooku, pretty much saying, the Republic won't be able to protect Tordaria if a bad situation arises, and, you should try to, join the Separatists, because we can guarantee you your protection. So they're pretty much just trying to get the Tordarians onto the Separatist side, because any amount of help can help in this battle. So, as you can see, Count Dooku's up to his old tricks, as usual. So, as Yoda is traveling to Rugosa, he is shot down by two banking clan frigates. And he and his three clones that he's taking with him, Lieutenant Thyre, Jek, and Riz, they have to use an escape pod to try to draw fire, but as they point out to Yoda, they're going to shoot down anything that moves. So Yoda suggests that they send all the escape pods, regardless of anything in it, as kind of a way to, distract them and just draw fire, maybe off of them. So the rest of the ship, leaves to let Yoda and the three clones head to Rugosa. Ventress senses this and is trying to, tell Katunko, oh, see, Yoda's fleeing in the face of danger. How can you expect him to protect you? But Yoda sends a holographic message saying, sorry for the delay, I'm on my way, though, and can't wait to meet you. Can't wait to have this meeting to talk about possibly an alliance. Of course, without trying to give up, Ventress comes up with a plan, and she sends a bunch of her troops after Yoda. And she's like, if Yoda can escape my best droids, you're free to join the Republic side. However, if he fails, you must join the Separatists. So now it's really a test to see if Yoda is as powerful as everyone makes him out to be, and can provide this protection to Tordaria. So even though Katunko's like, Yoda doesn't need to prove himself. Yoda's like, no, I'll take on this challenge. It's not a problem. And so the three of them head into this coral forest, and of course a landing ship with a bunch of droids comes down and tries to ambush them. However, these big, bulky tanks just can't maneuver through these tight coral holes. So the Commander Droid 224 is forcing his men to, they have to go out on foot, which is making it way easier for the clones to ambush them. However, it still proves too much because there's a lot of droids, and even though Yoda, who again is bouncing around like a pinball machine, is doing a pretty decent job, Thyre is hit, and they're forced to retreat to try to tend to his wounds. They find this cave, and the clones seem very, very down on the situation. It's like, there's four of us, and I understand you're a Jedi Master, but still, there's four of us and thousands of them. We're really outnumbered here. And Yoda gives them a really, really amazing, heartfelt speech about just because you're clones doesn't mean that you're just a lost face in the crowd. You each have your own distinct way to improve your strengths. Like I've been saying for the past few episodes of the Clone Wars, they all really do have their distinct personalities, and Yoda uses that to say, just because you can fire a weapon well, or you're part of an amazing army, it's all about what's up in your head. And that's where the droids differ, because they just think on impulse, they don't think with their mind. So it's a really empowering speech. It gets the clones back in good spirits so they can take on this Separatist force that is testing them to see if they're really worthy of protecting Tordaria. Alright, so as this impending fleet is approaching our heroes, Yoda decides to take them 1 on 5 million and pretty much tells the clones, don't do anything. You'll sense when it's time for you to help me. And so he's taking on this massive battalion, again, bouncing around like a little, crackhead. And he's doing a very, very good job. However, Ventress sends out some droidicus, which is like these rolling things, to take out Yoda. There's 10 of them, and they're very powerful. And this is when the clones need to act. And with their last rocket launcher, Thyre fires at some rocks and crushes all of them, thus protecting Yoda so he can finish the job. Katunko is very impressed with this and is like, well, that's my answer right there. I'm joining the Republic. Obviously angered by that, Count Dooku orders Ventress to kill King Katunko. So she knocks his guards unconscious and is ready to kill him, but Yoda comes just in time to stop her. And rather than fighting Yoda, I think Ventress knows that Yoda would have her number there. She triggers an avalanche with an explosive that she planted before she met with Katunko, and Yoda stops it, but she flees from the scene. So not a very brave move from Ventress. She decides to flee rather than fight. That just kind of shows the Separatist weakness. And the King of Toydaria, Katunko, decides to join the Republic alliance, and a ship comes to pick them all up. So now the Republic has officially now gained the Hutts and now Toydaria as their alliance members. So they're doing a very good job, outpacing the Separatists in terms of gaining forces for this war. And that was Ambush. I think this is a really great way to pick up where Supply Lines left off because, again, I praised that whole story. I praised the Republic for how they handle gaining alliance members. And instead of just using threats like the Separatists, they use their skills and what they're strong at, like using Yoda, who is an incredible Jedi, to get them out of situations to prove that they are worthy. Yoda alone is worthy of protecting Toydaria. They don't need all the clones. Obviously, it helps, but that was a line said in the episode. It's like, I thought that a Jedi was worth like 1,000 droid army. Guys, I don't know what I'm trying to say. So that's like an outlying theme, and Yoda definitely proved that in this episode, so I really like that. And I like how they finally acknowledge what I've been saying for the past few episodes, how these clones, while they all look the same, aren't the same at all. They all have what makes them unique, whether it be how they like to focus on building or cleaning or doing anything with their weapons, or how they are really strategic in the battlefield and like to make plans on how they can outsmart the enemy. Or if they're like Heavy from the last episode, where he just likes to go gung-ho and just fire with no plan at all. They all have their own distinct features that makes them unique, and I really, really like that, because it's tough to decipher who's who. So it's good to see the personalities and be like, oh, that's Heavy, oh, that's Fives, oh, that's Thyre, you know what I'm saying? It's a really great aspect, and of course, I gotta give credit to Yoda being a badass. Again, even though he's bouncing around, it's the funniest thing ever. There needs to be like a pinball machine where you just have Yoda's head and it's flying around. I'll buy that. No doubt, I'll buy that. But yeah, not really much to say in this. I really like how they show the Separatist cowardice in this episode too, where Ventress is this, she acts all tough, like, oh yeah, I'm gonna kill the King Katunko, but the King Katunko, sorry, not the King of Katunko. But then Yoda comes and she runs away right away because she knows when she's beat. And that's just how it is in most societies. You have this big bully who thinks he's, hot shit, but once he's faced with somebody who's definitely more powerful than him, he flees. And I like how they do that. Count Dooku is just, being a coward behind a screen. Again, much like modern day where everyone's protected by social media behind their screen. It's I don't know why I'm getting so deep into this, but I like how they do that. It's a great way to really have us root for the Republic rather than the Separatists, because they don't show literally any skill in trying to gain allies. In fact, their only skills so far seem to be losing allies to the Republic. But not much to say about that. For the first episode of the show, it's a great way to kick it off. You might be a little confusing, though, because, you won't know why they're making a alliance with this guy, which is why I don't understand why they released all these out of order. I still don't get that, because then later on in season 3 you're going to see this episode, it's like, oh, that led into that, but then why was that 2 seasons ago? Whatever. At the end of the day, it's still a great episode, great dynamic. That speech by Yoda is worthy of any watch through, because he really just hammers it into these clones that, yes, it looks like a grim situation. There are a lot of them. There are very few of us. But what makes us different is that we think. and we know how to utilize our strengths. They just go, they have one mission, and that's to hurt. That's to kill us. That's to stop us. And they don't think about that. They just think of doing it. They don't think of how they're going to do it. And that's why we have our strength. And I really like that speech. So, all in all, a great episode. So let's move on to Rising Malevolence. So this episode's going to open up on the ship called the Triumphant, piloted or captained by Jedi Master Plo Koon and his clone commander Wolf. They find the secret weapon called the Malevolence on the Abrogado system, and right before they're about to engage it, he orders Wolf, or Plo Koon orders Wolf to send a transmission to Coruscant to send to Anakin Skywalker and Ahsoka Tano to relay their position and hopefully get some reinforcements. However, Anakin is unfortunately having to lament to him that there's nothing much he can do. He's ordered by the Jedi Council to be protecting the Bith system, so he can't really leave and come help them out. So even though they're nearby, they can't leave on orders of the Council, and that's really a tough situation because they're going to need all the reinforcements they can get to take on this big, mysterious weapon that they seem to have been searching for a long time. So it seems as though the Triumphant's communications are jammed by General Grievous and Count Dooku, and they fire a heavy ion blast that destroys all the Republic attack cruisers, thus leaving them defenseless from the turbo lasers. Wolf, Plo Koon, and their other two droids, Sinker and Boost, escape in an escape pod, and just watch in horror as Count Dooku unleashes the pod finders to find and kill any survivors to make sure that the Malevolence's position is kept secret. So there's really nothing they can do because it's just an escape pod. There's no weapons on it. So they're trying to get these communications back up to try to send an SOS signal to try to get some reinforcements. So Anakin and Ahsoka take to calling up the Jedi Council, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Mace Windu, Yoda, and Palpatine, and telling them, we've lost communications with Plo Koon and his troops. We have to go try to search for survivors. However, the Jedi Council forbids them to going to the Abrogado system because all of them were ordered to protect the supply lines. And Ahsoka is very vehement about, we have to go save them. I know that there are survivors out there. And they're like, there's nothing we can do. We have to stick with our supply lines because that's what's going to help us out in this war. So the order has been given, and Anakin scolds Ahsoka for just talking out of turn. She really shouldn't have done that because she's still just a trainee. She can't be talking out of turn in a big meeting with the Jedi Council. However, Anakin had every intention of going to look for survivors. So while Ahsoka's like, well, why am I getting in trouble for something that you literally want to do? He's like, you gotta learn how to go with what they're saying while also not going with what they're saying and how to handle, speaking out, So, yes, we're going to go get these survivors, but you can't just go and blurt out that that's what you want to do. You have to go with the flow, act like, yes, we'll stay here and protect the supply lines, but think of another way around it. So how he gets around it is he leaves his whole troop, his whole brigade, behind with the supply lines and just takes him and Ahsoka to go try to find these survivors. Obi-Wan, who, it's Anakin's his apprentice. He knows when he's doing not what he's supposed to, knows that he goes out with Ahsoka to go try to find these survivors, and Mace Windu and Palpatine urge Obi-Wan to get Anakin back to the supply lines because they need all the help they can get in protecting those. So, it just shows Anakin's recklessness, but also willing to help others. It's a really great character dynamic. So, back in the debris field, Plo Koon and his men are desperately trying to fix the pod to get communications back up, but they realize there are a couple more escape pods out there. One of them, however, has been broken open by the pod hunter, and all the clones inside are dead. And they witness another pod. They get a transmission, but of course they can't respond because their communications are down, and they witness the pod hunter open it up and kill all the men inside. Now they see their escape pod, the pod hunter I should say, and they go to break it open. However, not knowing that there's a Jedi Master on this exact pod, he gets out and is able to withstand the pressure for a short amount of time to take out the pod hunter, along with the help of his clones, who with their pressurized suits, which of course aren't meant to be out there for that long, but can help for a little bit, they're able to destroy the pod hunter. Anakin and Ahsoka arrive just on the nick of time to retrieve the only survivors, and all seems well until the Malevolence approaches the Twilight, which is the ship that Anakin and Ahsoka took. And in order to mask their life force coming from the ship, they shut down all electronics and anything droid related, because R2-D2 is also on the ship, so they have to shut him down so they don't track that, because they could track droid wavelengths, I guess you could call it. So they shut all that down in hopes of masking their camouflage, because of course the Malevolence has been, has traced movement from Republic survivors. So now they have to really hope and pray that that move worked. However, there is one problem. There is a medical droid on board of the Twilight, and they forget to power him down. Power it down, sorry. I forgot these things don't have genders. They forget to power it down. And this gives just a faint enough signal to alert Count Dooku and General Grievous of their location. Having to quickly turn everything back on to get out of there with a desperate hyperspace jump. They just narrowly avoid the ion blast that was going to be, for them, and they escape. General Grievous has to then tell Count Dooku that they escaped, and now the Republic will be aware of their location of the Malevolence, and Count Dooku he's obviously not too thrilled with that, and has to go report to Darth Sidious about this. As they land back where they belong, the heroes, they land back where they belong, Plo Koon thanks Anakin for his devotion to finding them, and they must go to the Jedi Council to tell them where the Malevolence is. However, Anakin knows that he's going to get an earful, and he's like, come on, Ahsoka, you share responsibility with this too. And that's how the episode ends. So that's Rising Malevolence. I really can't wait to see how the Malevolence will play another role later on in the series, because this is a pretty powerful weapon, seeing as what it did to all those Republic ships. So I'm really excited for that. General Grievous seems like a really, really fun villain, too, to follow along with. He's almost going to be like one that you love to hate. So I can't wait to see more of him as well. And I really do love Anakin and Ahsoka's relationship, because, again, Ahsoka speaks out during this big meeting with the Jedi Council. Like, this is a big deal. And she's like, no, we have to go look for survivors, when Anakin literally 5 minutes before told her, don't speak out of turn. Do not speak out of turn. You're just an apprentice. And I really love how Anakin's like, okay, I had every intention of helping, but you gotta learn how to speak. You can't just go blaring out that you want to go look for survivors. You need to go with the flow, pretty much. So I really love how their relationship is formed from there. And now Ahsoka's really going to, I'm assuming off screen, is really going to get to know what it's like when you disobey the Jedi's orders. Hey, she wants to be a Jedi, and she wants to make reckless moves like Anakin. You're going to hear it. So I really love that training aspect of Ahsoka and Anakin growing more steadily towards Jedi and apprentice, because they're still button heads, but that's the great thing about their relationship. I loved Plo Koon's just undying determination that someone is going to find them. It's kind of like in Supply Lines when Master Dai is like, no, someone's coming to help us. It's the same thing here. I guess Jedis are really faithful in their own, and sure enough, he was right, and just in the nick of time too. His ambition to just go fight off this pod hunter, even though he could die at any minute, is really, really amazing. And I love the medical droid, because he just wants to go make sure everyone's okay. He didn't know that by him going up on the bridge was going to alert the Malevolence to their to their location. I just thought that was so funny, because he really, obviously, it has no idea what it's doing. That was really fun. And Count Dooku's just such a bastard. He's always with his deep Christopher Lee voice, just telling these horrendous orders to kill these clones. And a really gruesome scene, actually. It kind of reminds me of in Guardians 2 when the Ravengers turn on Yondu and they're sending all those guys into space. It was really gruesome for a kid's show. That's pretty much all I have to say. Again, I know I keep plugging it, but you just really should. If you're a Disney fan, Star Wars fan, and Marvel fan all in one, you should really consider getting Disney Plus, because again, you can watch all this great content for only $8 a month. Not a sponsor, but just really wanted to call it out because I think it's a great service. But until next time, guys, make sure you like, share, comment, subscribe. All that stuff really helps me out. And make sure you stay tuned for Chapter 7 of the Star Wars Chronicle, where we look at the next 2 episodes of the Clone Wars. I apologize if this one came a little late. I got kind of lazy the past few days, so I apologize if this one came a little late. But the next one, I'm sure you will be on time, so look forward to that. And until next time, guys, that's a wrap.